the lab. What they'll do is they'll take that print, they'll upload it into what they call the automatic fingerprint identification system, Fingerprints. It sets and runs against all known prints, and known prints come from everyone who's ever been arrested. Okay. Say they get a hit. Even though they got a hit, that they have to kick that out, and actually has to be looked at by eye to make a verification. And is it just one person, or does
two
people have to say yes, that is definitely that print? So it does take the human, even though there's computers that are checking out and running against it, it still takes the human factor to make it possible, a positive identification. I'll pass this out here. This just gives you, this was say an inked print of a very nice inked print, and then say this was a print that you pulled at a scene. Sometimes they're real faint and they're tough to see, they're not perfect. And this will just give you the idea of what a good print looks like and how they're these points that they're verifying. So that's a dusted print there. And you can see how it gets flattened out, because in a perfect world everyone just doesn't touch things just perfect. They might touch something and then run their hand and it'll just smear. Now this is a fingerprint using, well, that's cyanoacrylate, okay. Cyanoacrylate is, you've probably maybe seen on TV where they call it super gluing a fingerprint. And it actually is a super glue compound, but it just doesn't have the adhesive portion in it.
Right.
And we have this, we have a super glue or fuming cabinet. We'll put an item in there. It's usually a hard item, not so much paper, but like plastics, glass, metal. Put that item in there. We'll put a certain amount of this cyanoacrylate, this glue adhesive, in a tin. It'll set on a little hot plate, and then we have some water for humidity, and then we'll set a certain amount of time, and that hot plate heats up that glue, and with the humidity, I think it's 80% humidity, it'll adhere to those amino acids, those fatty acids, and salts. It'll adhere to it, and when it comes out, it's white colored. I'm not really sure.
They probably they might have put powder on it.
They might have put a powder on it there, but it's usually white in color. Sometimes you can photograph that white impression. Sometimes you have to introduce a powder on top of it to see it. Okay, you want to explain luminol?
Luminol is a chemical that basically finds blood. You use it to find blood that you can't see. Because if you can see the blood, we don't need to find it. So if you can't, it helps a lot if somebody cleaned up an area, and they still will leave behind a little bit that they thought they got it all, but they didn't. And it's so, I think I read it'll find blood like a drop of blood in, like if you drop one drop of blood in a pail of water, and that's still enough blood, diluted even, that it can still find it. So it's really sensitive. And
Just say someone was on a noisy floor and there's blood on it, and they walk through this hard floor, and they say it goes to a carpet. Well, they see the blood prints in the floor, but they're like, oh, I really don't see it in the carpet, so they'll just clean that up. Well, we hit that carpet and it'll fluoresce, is what happens when we do it in the dark.
yeah, and once you mix the chemical together, it only lasts like a day. So we don't really carry it with us too much. We have to get it from the lab if we want to do a special scene, because it doesn't last that long. So, but sometimes it does help though to find you, to let you know. It sort of tells a story that you can see where the blood was and they cleaned it up, or I don't know, it's very useful for finding blood.
And sometimes there's a lot of false positives, and what that means, people might think that's actually blood, but it's some kind of a chemical or a cleaning agent or something it'll pick up on also.
Yeah. And you have to have basically complete darkness for it to work.
So this slide here is just before luminol. Okay, I'm assuming it's a piece of material or something.
Looks like.
And that is, we're in a dark environment, and we spray it, and it turns like a purple color. And then we got to try to photograph that. Try to photograph that in the dark with no lights. So we have to do a lot of adjusting to our cameras for setups and the shutter speeds and things.
You can see it looks like somebody walked in their bare feet.
Right. Alternate light source, we actually brought this with us. This also will pick up on bodily fluids and that are maybe invisible to the regular eye. And there's a certain spectrum of colors that we can use with goggles to look for, and it picks up on fibers, certain types of fibers and things like that, they'll fluoresce. We use this a lot in cars. Some people say you can see blood. What about saliva?
You can see saliva with it. Blood you really can't technically see with it. Blood doesn't fluoresce, but it looks like it's black.
It's semen, we'll use that a lot to look for that kind of stuff. And again, like I said, the fibers, different types of fibers from clothing. The reason I brought it today, when we do the fingerprinting with the fluorescent fingerprint dusting powder, once you do it, you'll be able to, it's usually a two-person job, you can set it there, someone can shoot it on there, and you'll be able to put the different goggles on, and it makes you see the fluorescent powders a lot better.
When you take a picture of it, your camera has to have the same color of filter as what you're wearing to have an accurate
So
picture.
if you have like a red pair of glasses on, you gotta have a red filter on your lens of your camera. See, those are fibers using the alternate light source. So if that wasn't on, you just had regular lighting, you might be able to see a fiber there, or may not, but once you put when it gets dark and you have that alternate light source, it fluoresces the different fibers. Whoops. Again, there's our metal detector. This is if we're doing a search for, say, skeletal remains. Usually this is when we run into something like this. If a person is dumped out in the woods or they die out in the woods, depending on how quick anyone finds them or sees them, it may be weeks, it may be years. So if it's years, the animals got in there and just, things got dragged all over the place. So you do a grid search. So you can sit down at some point and draw it out, like, a skull was found here, and a foot was found here. We use a group out of Westminster, or Mercyhurst.
Mercyhurst, up in here.
Great program up in Mercyhurst.
Yeah, if you're interested in forensic,
$35,000 a year to go to.
and forensic anthropology.
And they travel around. I mean, they'll travel around the country.
They help us out.
They help us out all the time with digs. Like if we get reports of someone who's buried somewhere, they're great. They come there and they have a whole team of people. It's mostly all girls.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Now we don't go in the water. We get the fire department's rescue guys. And we've done recoveries, whether it's vehicles, guns, bodies,
cars.
And we help the patrol guys with usually fatal crashes or some serious crash. We'll go out to the scene, photograph. We work with the cars, the crash reconstruction analyst guys. They actually do like the mapping of everything. They can determine speed just based on those black marks, the yaw marks they call them. They can determine the speed. But we assist them with photographing and collecting any evidence at the scenes. There's hair. And we do have this. This is a composite software that we do. I've never really seen anyone ever do that great of a lot of people say, yeah, I saw them. We've had guys say, okay, well, this person saw who did it. They go up there. By the time they're done, it's not even close to, you think you might remember, but you don't remember. I mean, if I was to leave today and you guys had to say 4 days from now, you were supposed to go on here and do a composite, I mean, you might get the bald head, but it's pretty tough. We do casts in dirt, mud, even snow. We can even cast tracks in the snow. It's called dental stone. We'll explain that further. Key with the tracks is photographing it, getting it photographed with the scale and the right settings on your camera, and you can do a match just based on that. That just gives you an idea that what type of vehicle possibly made that. Again, shoes. Okay, anyone have any questions about what we just went over?
Shoes and tires.
So cool.
Just nice and gently smeared on, and then to get that off, you just pull that plunger back. And there you got your fingerprint. So, and that's, we use that mostly on paper. Okay, so there's going to be that, and then this.
No matter which ones you get.
There's small, they're just different sizes.
That's small, medium. Yeah, you can throw it away. Don't worry about it. We got a bunch of them. Okay, here's tape. Say someone used tape to tape someone up or tape a package. Like I get a lot of this from the Vice guys. Someone will send drugs through the mail and they'll tape it all up and they'll send it to me and I'll pull the tape apart. And depending on what type of tape it is, this here you got to use water on this. So I'm gonna leave this in here. Okay. You only have to leave this on about 15, 20 seconds or so. What you do is you just polish this on here, paint it on.
You want to save it, try to.
So I do all the tape. Now this is the adhesive side only.
Because it's already, with this finger, it's a very important finger.
Once I do that, if I don't find anything, then I can put this in my fuming cabinet and see if I can get a fingerprint off the smooth side, non-adhesive side. Oh. Sorry, Tim.
These, while she's doing that, these you use, remember the ridges on the PowerPoint.
It's not very good, but there's something there. So again, it all depends. I probably didn't have enough oil or whatever. It all depends. Sometimes I'll get real good ones. There's a very, very faint, and it all depends on how good the adhesive is too. So that didn't pan out as well as I expected, but that's how you do that. So.
One thing, try to do it.
All right, you guys just go ahead and play around with them.
Try to do it just one time.
Oh yeah,
Try to line it up.
we use these to look at the fingerprints better.
I didn't know it was called the little.
Get a better
That
idea.
was so too
And you'll be able
bad.
to tell by looking at your print if you have the loop or the roll of that paper that I gave you guys. You know, if you have the loops or the whirls or arches, depending on. I can turn the lights on in here.
Just I feel like we just have a really light touch. I don't even think we got it. It's bad. There it is. Okay. Is the stuff still in my hands? Like if I touch something, will it come off on it?
It shouldn't show it.
No,
It should be good.
it's just the type of whatever chemicals in there is reaction to the paper. It's the type of paper you use. So.